According to the CDC, in America alone, more than 30,000 people die each year from an opioid overdose, while the death rate of synthetic opioids is rapidly growing. The largest fentanyl bust in U.S. history was at a border crossing, amounting to 254 pounds of this stuff. This is enough to kill over 115 million people, said Customs and Border Patrol. A wall along the southern border is vital in the protection of American citizens from the drugs, human trafficking, and illegal border crossings. Here, we will see how the U.S. can protect itself from the dangerous things and people coming into the country across the southern border. U.S. immigration officials estimate there are around 15 million illegal aliens in the United States currently. In 2020, CBP has apprehended over 120,000 people at the border attempting to cross illegally. Last year, over 815,000 were apprehended at the border. According to CBP, the crossings in areas in which the wall has already been constructed is down over 50%. Illegal aliens constitute about 7% of the total U.S. population, yet the latest data from the Justice Department's Bureau of Justice Statistics reveals that non-citizens account for nearly 2/3 of all federal arrests in 2018. Kate Steinle was a medical sales rep living in San Francisco. She was walking along Pier 14 with her father when a twice already deported illegal alien from Mexico discharged a firearm, striking her in the back. She died in a hospital just hours later. The defendant was found not guilty on both murder and manslaughter charges after claiming to be unfit to stand trial, stating that he accidentally fired the weapon. He was only convicted of being a felon in possession of a firearm after killing a U.S. citizen. This struck a huge debate on California's sanctuary city laws and started the movement of Justice for Kate. It is not just people crossing the border either. In 2018, a quarter of all federal drug arrests took place in the 5 judicial districts along the U.S.-Mexico border. After 40 years and over $1 trillion spent, the war on drugs has done very little to stop the drug epidemic in this country. The amount of drug overdoses has done nothing but increase. A $5 billion border wall would slow the drugs and people allowed to cross. The U.S. State Department estimates more than 20,000 women and children are smuggled across the border by cartels and gangs for the sole purpose of sex trafficking. In 2017, Doctors Without Borders reported that over 2/3 of the migrant population going into Mexico reported being the victims of violent crimes along the way. Another 1/3 of these women reported a case of sexual abuse from the same people they were traveling with to the U.S. southern border. The United Nations puts a value of between $3.7 and $4.3 billion per year on smuggling illegals across the border. The current administration enacted a policy of DNA testing the families who were detained crossing the border and found that over 1/3 of them were not biologically related to the children that they were crossing with and were suspected of human trafficking. Together, we can stop children like this from ending up in a horrible system and protect them from a life of being trafficked. A strong southern border along the southwestern boundary of our country could greatly reduce the amount of people, drugs, and human traffickers who are currently taking advantage of the U.S.'s weak immigration laws. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol are overwhelmed by the vast number of people and drugs passing through the southern border. A wall would allow them to focus on other areas and greater combat the issues that illegal immigrants bring with them. How many American deaths are too many?